What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude. And before we get into anything else, before we talk about the Bill Simmons trade value list, one of our favorite things to do every few months here on the You Know Ball podcast.
We love it.
We absolutely love it. We are going to talk about our sponsors from Underdog Fantasy, the newest and best place to play fantasy sports and win big prizes. And right now, Summer League is winding down. There's only a few nights left. So while you can go on there, sign up using the promo code SLOP, that's S-L-O-P, to get a $100 deposit match. And you can go higher or lower on your favorite prospects and their stats throughout Summer League. Our guy, Brandon Miller, who parody satire, not really our guy, has been kind of breaking out recently. He's had, ever since, all of the good players went home, it's hard for me to, get excited about the last few days of Summer League when, all of the best players have been shut down. I'm like, okay, well, that kind of makes it so that I don't really know what to make of this. It's like
Jordan Walsh better, sadly.
I was going to say, Jordan Walsh going off, I'll say this much. And we said this last time, and I'll say this much. I think it's more important that first-year guys ball out at Summer League.
Yes.
In terms of predicting their NBA future. Like, if you're a second-year guy and you're balling out at Summer League, or a third-year guy, I expect that. That should be the baseline bare minimum. But if you're 19 years old and you're playing against professionals and you're playing well in Summer League, I think that really says something about your future in the NBA. So that's at least one thing you can hang your hat on with a guy like Jordan Walsh or some of these guys like Keontae George, who's been literally breaking Summer League records. I don't know if you followed this, but Keontae George, let's see if he's on here. I don't know if they have a game tonight. No, he isn't. But Keontae George is you can go on and put on for Michael Beasley, who's playing in a league on here. Mario Chalmers, let's go. I don't even know what basketball league that is. But
Did I just see Rashard Lewis?
Hold on.
That can't be true.
No, there's no way it was Rashard Lewis. Hold on. I'm screwed. Yeah!
Let's go!
Is that the big three? I don't even know what this is.
That's got to be big three.
Yeah, that's got to be
Reggie,
big three.
Reggie Evans, too.
Yes. Yeah, three-headed monster. Yeah, so you can go on and you can also do your picks.
Jeremy Pargo. Oh, my God.
For Glenn Rice Jr., Katino Mobley. He looks like Santa Claus. He's so old.
This is crazy.
This is our greatest discovery ever.
Yeah.
Man.
If you're not doing higher or lower on Big Three basketball, what are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go higher on Cam Whitmore stats for tonight. He has 19.5. He had a up and down last game. The shot selection isn't great for him, but they're running a ton of offense through him now that Jabari and Tari have both left. And then I'm also going to go I'll go just to keep up tradition. Let's go lower on Brandon Miller's 19 points. And you put $20 on that, you can get 60. But Summer League, like I said, it's wrapping up, but you can go on here on Underdog, do the picks on there. You can also do NFL season stuff. They got MLB stuff. They have a ton of stuff on there right now. PGA for this weekend as well. You could do Pick'em. You can also do fantasy drafts for other sports as well. So sign up for Underdog if you have not already. It supports You Know Ball. So let's pull up the trade value list. Now, we're going to go through the trade value list that Bill made about a month ago. And the reason why we weren't able to get to this earlier is because it was in the middle of slop season when he dropped it. This is the third time that he's done it since he started doing it again. He took a massive break from doing it for a while. So he actually, before we even talk about the people who were off the list, which is the first section on the trade value list that he didn't even really talk that much about on the podcast itself. Did you hear the part where he was talking about the history of the trade value list?
Yeah.
And he was my favorite. This is such a bill, and I'm guilty of this. We're all guilty of doing this, over indexing on the moment thing. But Bill loves to do it probably more than anyone in sports media. And at the beginning of this list, he had in 2001, he didn't have Shaq top 3 on his trade value list.
That's awesome.
And House is like, wait, how was Shaq not 1? And then he was like, well, I had Tim Duncan 1, I had KG 2, I had Kobe 3. And then he's like, where'd you have Shaq? And he's like, I think I had him like 5th. And he's like, you had Shaq 5th in 2001? And he's like, well, he came into shape. He came into the season out of shape.
Yeah,
and
Bill Cardinal sent, right?
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah. Which is like, oh, I've done this, literally did this with Anthony Edwards last year, completely over-indexed that. People used to do it with Jokic a lot early in his career. Luka's another guy that they've done it with where they play themselves into shape. Yeah. But he, of course, then moved Shaq back to number 1 in 2002 after the Lakers won their 3rd straight championship. Keep in mind, this is Shaq less than a calendar year removed. When he made this list, it was in the middle of the season when the Lakers won their last title of that three-peat, and they beat the New Jersey Nets in the finals. This was less than a year removed from probably the greatest back-to-back years, definitely the greatest back-to-back years post-Jordan. One of the top 5 greatest back-to-back seasons of all time. You had the Shaq MVP season in 99-2000, and then you had in 2000-2001, you had the Lakers losing 1 playoff game in the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
And Shaq being by far the best player on that team. Kobe was actually really good during that run. It was his best run during the three-peat, but Shaq was by far the best player on those. Like, they weren't even in the same tier, Shaq and Kobe. The way that people talk about it kind of drives me insane because Kobe was just not even close to the level of player that Shaq was at the time. But Shaq was also in the middle of his prime at 20, 28, 29, and Bill said he was 5th, but rightfully moved him back. And then he had and every other one that he talked about, like having number 1 on the list, I was fine with. The only one that I really like had a side eye on, he had 2 that I had side eye on. He even called out the 1, but he went Shaq in 2002, Duncan in 2003, and then it was LeBron for back-to-back years. And then in 2006, he had Dwayne Wade after the Miami Heat won the finals, ahead of LeBron on the trade value list.
Whoa.
Which is even at his peak, Dwayne Wade was not touching LeBron James.
Yeah.
Even coming off that insane run, LeBron was 20 years old at the time, I believe, maybe 21, and he was dominating the league at 20, 21 years old. So that was a hilarious over-indexing. And then the rest was basically just LeBron, Durant, and then 2015, he had 1 misstep with Anthony Davis. And that a lot of people kind of thought Anthony Davis was this future top 5 player. And he did not turn out to end up being that, despite the fact he at one point you could argue he had a season or 2 where he was top 5, but overall pretty disappointing career based on what we thought he was going to be in 2015. And now obviously we'll get to who's number 1 on this list later, but let's start with the people that are off the list entirely. So we have Marcus Smart, your guy. This is before he was traded, a few weeks before he was traded. Jabari Smith, James Harden, Anthony Simons, Jalen Green, Jared Allen, Chris Middleton, Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Poole, Chris Paul, Rudy Gobert. So did you have any issues with this completely off the list section?
My thing with the way Bill did this list and when he dropped it, like a lot of these guys are unrestricted free agents.
Yeah, it is hard to yeah.
Like so, because like Middleton on his new contract, I think has like more value than this.
Yes,
he
should have dropped it now instead of a month ago. Yeah,
like I get why Bill had Middleton off the list because you don't know. Like I was cackling because I was like, hell yeah, they're going to give Chris Middleton $50 million a year for 4 years, and it's going to be awesome. But they successfully, I don't know, they're buried gold in his backyard or whatever the fuck they did. So like Chris Middleton, I think Jordan Poole, and we'll get to it with Tyler Hero. These guys should not sniff. They shouldn't be honorable mention. They shouldn't be anywhere near the list. They're some of the worst contracts in the NBA. Jordan Poole and Tyler Hero.
So, well, that one was proved pretty quickly, the Jordan Poole one, because Chris Paul is also on the off the list here. And he they had to attach, it is a little bit of a Mickey first round pick, but they still had to include that top 20 protected first round pick that's 6 years out, 7 years out, just to get off the Jordan Poole contract to a team that is actively tanking. So they're the only team that was willing to take it on is my point here. It seems like there really was only one suitor for him, and it's the team that is going to lean into this. So I would say based on that, you're right. I don't even know if he should be in this section because, and we'll talk about Tyler here in a little bit, but I want to go back to your unrestricted free agency point because Kuzma was another guy on here where if I had made this list personally a month ago, I would have had Kuzma off the list probably in this section as well because I thought that Kuzma was going to get a fucking bag. I thought he was going to get like $32 million a year and it was going to be this untradeable contract and blah, blah, blah. And we waited a few weeks and we actually found out recently that's an extremely tradable contract. They front loaded it so that he makes the most amount of money this year and next year. And then in a few years, it's less than $20 million a year by the end of it. And with the new cap, that's only 18-19% of the cap. And you're at very minimum, you're talking about an athletic four who can create a little bit, defend, rebound. Kuzma's a valuable player. He just wasn't $30 to $35 million a year valuable. But you tell me he's basically in this he didn't even get $100 million guaranteed on this 4-year deal. So you're looking at $22 million a year. That's perfectly fine value for Kyle Kuzma. And you could make the argument that he should be, maybe a little bit further down. I think he's better. I think all these guys are better than some of the people that are a little bit further down in the honorable first cut section.
Yeah. So those were the two guys I was going to bring up. Rudy Gobert is still a pretty good player, but I understand you can pretty easily make the case for off the list just because of what a fucking albatross his contract is, and you can't play he limits how you can construct your team, right? So, and especially in the playoffs. I think Jared Allen, I think that's a little bit of a reactionary pick. I think this is kind of the low point in Jared Allen's value, because he gave that bad quote about the lights being bright. That's essentially what this is. He has to play with Mobley. It's not a very good spot for him necessarily. He was very good all these other years. I don't know. I think it's a little reactionary to have Jared Allen down here when I think he's better than most of the guys, and most of these players are good too.
The reasons why you can't trade these players are due to the nature of their contract generally. And maybe some aging concerns with guys like James Harden and those kind of things.
House had an audible reaction to Anthony Simons, and I had an identical audible reaction, but to Marcus Smart being in this group.
Okay, so let's talk about Smart. The Simons one, okay, look, if we're going based on trade value and what we know, I think you could make the argument that Simons being this low is fine. And I think his contract is fine. I think he still has some untapped upside. I like Anthony Simons. I think that he's going to be, he could be maybe make an all-star team at some point in his career if things go right. He's probably more in that sub-all-star tier of player. But the reason why I think it's okay to make the argument is that, he clearly didn't have much trade value. From everything I've heard, they've been trying to move him regardless of the Dame situation. So, I'm not sure that he has crazy trade value as it sits here today on July 13th, 2023. Now, a year from now, maybe Dame goes, he balls out, and he has crazy trade value a year from now. But for right now, I think you could argue that he might not be on the list just based on how the league showed they valued him. But Marcus Smart, this was completely proven wrong immediately.
Yeah, immediately. You go to the next list, and it's Kristaps Porzingis. They got Kristaps Porzingis and firsts for trading Marcus Smart. And you could say, okay, but that's because of the contract situation with Porzingis and they were giving him away. Okay, that's the exercise in the trade value column.
Sure.
Like considering some of this stuff.
Yes. The context is important.
But again, Bill, I'm sorry, Bill's showing his ass. If you ever believe that what Bill says about like loving Marcus Smart, like he thinks Marcus Smart is the reason the Celtics were bad. The bad things happened to the Celtics the last 2 years, and that just flies completely contrary to like everything I saw. So I don't know. Again, I'm getting mad about this again. Very predictable. I know the Hoggies knew that seeing this. I remember getting mad about this. I didn't get as mad about this back then because
you were like,
Marcus Smart will never get traded, so it's fine. And now I'm still getting mad about it. So,
yes.
And everyone, it's crazy how the Memphis Grizzlies, some of the best talent evaluators, are overpaying. Yeah, they're the ones who got tricked here. Absolutely.
Well, also, even if you think, I don't think Tyus Jones is on this list, but I think that he was last time around. I think he was on the fringes of this conversation in terms of the trade value list. And even if you think that the Porzingis thing is just due to the player option and no leverage and blah, 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 the Grizzlies sent out Tyus Jones in 2 firsts. So that tells you what they think of Marcus Smart. So that's really what he clearly had good trade value. I think he's a really good contract too. Like they talk about it with other guys on here. Like he makes $18 million a year. Like that's 15% of the cap now. Like that's really good value for a guy who won Defensive Player of the Year, who has been on multiple all-defense teams, who is a good offensive player, not a great one, but like a solid offensive player.
How many picks do you think Phoenix, if they had first-round picks, would they have attached to trade Marcus Smart for Chris Paul?
Okay, so I mean that's
they might do 3, straight up, just to get off the money and get Marcus Smart.
It probably would have been 2, but even if your value is contract filler and 2, you have trade value. And they traded someone who was important for their regular season rotation at least. So.
Well, I think Marcus Smart would have been a perfect fit for this. You know what I'm saying? My point here is that Marcus Smart also plays a role that is extremely valuable to teams who want to win. Yeah. I get why Celtics fans that's too much to pay your 8th player for Grant Williams, but Grant Williams is a lot worse, but it fulfills a similar role where it's okay, this is what guys who can play in the playoffs and know how to play off of players better than them is worth. That's the going rate.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway.
So honorable mentions section is the next part, which is Ochai Agbaji, which was just kind of a strange selection to me. Did Bill watch? I mean, Ochai is a fine role player, but I keep in mind, people that listen to the program know I wasn't crazy high on Ochai coming out of the draft. But he's already 23 years old, and Andrew Nembhard is the next one down, and Nembhard was legitimately really, really good for the Pacers. Even if I laughed at Bill for having him on here last time. Ochai played 59 games last year, played 20 minutes a game, and was a solid role player.
This whole group is the more I stare at it, this is an eldritch horror where it's the king in yellow. I'm going slowly more insane the more I stare at it. This is all over the place. There are players on here who are incredibly good and important to playoff teams, and then there are guys who are just straight up bad. And, get dumped. It's crazy.
All right, let me read the rest of the honorable mentions. Andrew Nembhard, who, like I said, DeAndre Ayton, Zubac, Malik Monk, Kristaps Porzingis, Robert Williams, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, Miles Turner, Herb Jones, Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., Seth Curry, and Dylan Brooks. Okay, so first off, the free agency thing's popping up again. Gabe Vincent changed teams. So did Seth Curry in free agency. Yeah. So we had no idea what their contracts were going to be.
Dylan Brooks.
So did Dylan Brooks. Plenty of guys here changing teams in free agency that we didn't know what their contracts were even going to look like. So it is kind of hard to rank them based on that. But yes, all over. Like Miles Turner is largely better than everyone in this tier, maybe except for Robert Williams and Wendell Carter Jr. and Kristaps Porzingis. But like,
yeah, I was gonna say those are like the ones that jump out to me. Like,
sure,
and Rob, I like understand because like the injury, like I love Rob, but I understand like the tentative, like being tentative about like his value because it's it's true. He doesn't play a lot of games. Like,
his contract's good, but he doesn't play a lot, so
Yeah.
it's hard to even say it's that good. Like,
right, exactly. It's like a fine deal for where it is. Miles Turner mostly plays,
Yeah.
and Kristaps Porzingis was like pretty much an all-star last year. So like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And like we just saw Jared Vanderbilt get traded with two other players that are like one started for the Lakers in the playoffs, even though he by the end of the playoffs he's out of the rotation, and one, I thought it was ridiculous. Malik Beasley only got a veterans minimum. He's a solid regular season player, and he got traded along with Jared Vanderbilt, and they got back one first round pick. Like, I think that the offers that were out for Jared Vanderbilt, like I think Jared Vanderbilt's a good player, but I also think the offers that were out there for Jared Vanderbilt were way less than if you were to put Miles Turner on the trade. Like you would get 2 first-round picks for Miles Turner if you put him on the trade market. Yeah. You would probably get or you could get like a solid young player and a first-round pick. Jared Vanderbilt is not netting that return. Like they're just completely different levels of player.
I'm seeing Kristaps Porzingis next to Jonathan Kuminga, and it's like giving me cosmic insanity. It's like in no way Malik Monk too. Like, why is Malik Monk down here? Like, he's a legitimate like important player for a very fucking good team. Like,
okay, so let me push back a little bit on the Kuminga thing, and this is not because and once again, everyone who listens knows that. Going back to the draft, I didn't really like Jonathan Kuminga that much. Like, I haven't really gotten the hype around him, but the league does value guys who are big athletic wings. Like, that's just the reality. Like, if the Warriors decided to trade Jonathan Kuminga, they probably would get more than we think they should back in a trade. Hello. That's the only thing you can put.
I'd like to report my co-host has been compromised by San Francisco Technology. Palantir Technology.
It's true though.
Has infiltrated my friend Trill. His house is being watched.
You know why I know why?
Why?
Because the way that people talk about Kuminga still, like the way people talk about Kuminga still is like he's on the trajectory to be a high-level role player or star, and like. I think I said during his rookie season, I was like, to me, the absolute ceiling for him is like an Aaron Gordon type player. And Aaron Gordon found his perfect role and is like flourishing on an important team. And I don't even know if he can really reach that level. Like, I don't think he's as skilled as Aaron Gordon is. Like, so I'm just a little bit lower on Jonathan Kuminga just because he was the 7th pick of the draft 2 years ago means nothing to me. And like, honestly, you could make the same argument for Jalen Suggs, who's been largely bad in his first 2 years in the NBA. Yeah. He shoots below 40% from the field, dude. Like, he can't shoot threes. He's, a decent playmaker and defender, but there's really not, like, a pathway to those kind of guys playing on good teams if they can't shoot. Like,
it's just so funny to see, like, this hodgepodge of, like, upside
Seth Curry
guys
might be, like, completely washed.
Washed.
Yeah.
And then, like, you scroll, like, back to the top, and it's, like,
you've got actually good players.
Yeah, you've got like Miles Turner. Herb Jones is like a really good. Like we made fun of Bill for having Herb Jones way too high last year.
We had him in the 40s last year.
Yeah,
we were like, all right, this is ridiculous.
But he's like a pretty good, valuable player. So
I'm fine having him down here.
Yeah, here he's fine. Like this is like
I'd probably still have him off the list for the record. But
I would have to like look at who the other guys are. But
his contract is fine, but like I don't like defensive guys that like don't have a ton of offensive utility on really good teams. But yeah.
But then DeAndre Ayton is again not quite to the same level as like Jordan Poole or Tyler Hero, but also like a genuine albatross contract.
Yeah.
That you would probably need to attach like value to get off. Like,
but his argument would be 2 years ago he would have had a lot of value because Bill loved him. Right. I mean, I always thought Ayton was a little bit overrated during that run because he was a Chris Paul merchant on offense and a Mikal Bridges merchant on defense, but he did get a max offer from another team in free agency a year ago, even if part of that might be like to test the Suns to see if they'll fucking actually match it. But there's a world where Ayton can get back to being in this, but he shouldn't be on it today. Like, that's the point that I think you're trying to make. It's like, there's a world where like he has a bounce back season with a better context next year, and they can move the contract easily, but like he doesn't have positive value at all.
No.
Yeah.
It's making me it's just making me insane to like stare at this. So
dishonorable mentions: Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. I don't even really know what to say about this part. House did argue that House's argument that that Kyrie should be higher. I don't know. I kind of sided with Bill on this one. Like, I just don't think that Kyrie, and even like Harden, who was left off the list and used to be on this, like, it's pretty obvious there isn't a ton of suitors out there for him. Like, this has nothing to do with their talent on the court. They're still top 25 players in the NBA. They're still some of the greatest players that have ever played, but like, no one wants to deal with their bullshit. So like, I do think you have to take that into consideration when you're building a trade value list, not a who are the 100 best players in the NBA list. So I think that's totally fine. I would have just put Ben Simmons, not even mentioned him. Like, Ben Simmons has nothing now. He's not even a dishonorable mention anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be able to move that contract unless they take back a bad contract and put 2 firsts on it. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. Okay. So we have the toughest omission section. Nikola Vucevic, Devin Vassell, who I thought should have been on there, to be honest. Dyson Daniels, Lou Dort, Bol. Okay, we have to stop and talk about this one.
We should have talked about Nikola Vucevic.
No. Nikola Vucevic is a starting center in the NBA. Now, should he be on the trade value list? Bol was just waived. He just got waived. He was making a minimum contract. I heard from a Magic person that they were trying to trade him for picks in the 50s, and teams said no. I mean, he has zero trade. Yeah. Vucevic has at least, you're not going to get a first back, but like you might get a rotation player back.
It would be insane to get a rotation player back for Vuce. Like
he's not that bad. He's way better than Bol.
He's better than Bol, but like at least and like I get the argument here, but like Julius Randle like literally made the all like.
Well, we haven't read him yet, but yes, he is on here.
I'm looking at a different one. It's weird. It divides up the list differently on desktop than whatever you've got going, which is very funny to me. Like, I have. Anyway, you finish reading the list, and I'm gonna go beast mode on this.
Okay, so Benedict Mathurin is also in here. Caleb Martin, Julius Randle, Jaden Ivey, Keldon Johnson, Bogdan Bogdanovic. The 2 most ridiculous inclusions on here for me are Lou Dort and Bol. Lou Dort is not good. I don't know how many times I have to say it. He can't finish. He can't shoot. He's not like an offensive creator. His defense is good on the ball. He's not a great team defender. Like, I don't think Lou Dort should even be close to this list. He makes $17 million a year. I said this when they signed the contract, and everyone acted like I was insane on the stream. I was like, Lou Dort's not good. Like, there's no way. He has value to the Oklahoma City Thunder as a culture guy. Seems like a great vibes guy. There's no way he should be on this list. Neither should Bol. But anyway.
Yeah, he makes he's making comparable money to Marcus Smart. Like, Marcus Smart makes like $1 million more and is supposed.
Would you rather have Lou Dort or DeAnthony Melton?
Yeah, Melton. It's like not close. Like,
and DeAnthony Melton makes half the amount of money that Lou Dort does. And in a year from now, when he gets an extension, he'll probably still only make like $13 million a year.
Yeah. It's insane. I mean, so much of this, having Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson on the same tier also seems like deeply offensive. Like, it's like, just say you don't watch the Spurs.
Devin Vassell's younger and better. And
like one of them is like way fucking better than the other.
I don't even really watch the Spurs, and I know that. I've seen enough Devin Vassell to know he's way better.
Yeah. It just like, and look, Caleb Martin, a great contract, really good. Jaden Ivey, I certainly would not have him this high, but like I can understand if you're like really big on like forward projection.
Yeah, top 5 pick last year.
Yeah, Bogdanovich, all of these guys. I just want to take us right back down to the bottom here real quick to where we started. So you're going to go ahead and tell me that all of these guys, the teams, when offered Jared Allen or Chris Middleton for these guys, everyone says, no, we're good.
Yeah, the Thunder are going to say, no, we're good with Lou Dort.
Yeah, Lou Dort for Jared Allen.
We're chilling. No worries.
Chilling. Yeah, that's absolutely like... Yeah.
I'm hearing reports that the Magic have turned down a Marcus Smart for Bol trade.
Yeah. Like what is this? Like Vooch, like Vooch for Porzingis. Yeah, the Bulls fans would would jump off a bridge if
the one thing you can argue is Vucevic he plays games.
He does, but I don't know. I mean, it's offensive to my sensibilities that he is like that contract he signed was fine. Yeah. A lot of contracts signed by guys who aren't on this list are fine. Like
they just don't have trade value.
They just do not have trade value. Yeah, exactly. It's just
honestly, I would argue, regardless of the fact that he's probably the worst playoff player in the NBA. That for anyone who's considered a star in Julius Randle, like his playoff stats are really, really bad.
Really bad, yeah.
Like really bad. Even saying that, I would still say he should be on the list. Like, he's a very good regular season player. And like he's been up and down, and like if I were building a team, I wouldn't want to build around Julius Randle, but he's gotten the Knicks back to the playoffs. Like, I mean, he's their second best player now, but like
he's given them a floor of like baseline competence, which is what the Knicks need. That's all the Knicks need. Like,
and he makes 20% of the cap this year, 21% of the cap the year after that, and then the last year it is a player option, but he makes 20% of the cap. He's a very good contract from a team perspective. Like, I would have Julius Randle. That's offensive to put him in the same group as Lou Dort and Bol. Come the fuck on, dude. Yeah. That's insane. That's just insane. Crazy. The one thing I will say is that if you put Julius Randle out on the market, you'd probably have less suitors than you think you would, but it only takes one team. Like, because he's just a weird fit on a lot of teams. I understand like why you would be lower on him. But once again, let's get into the actual list, because like I can understand most of the things on there, except for the few ones that we really pulled our hair about. Let's talk about Group L, which is buyer's remorse, guys who've signed contracts within the last year or two, including someone who's already been traded. So we have Group L. We have Tyler Hero, Bradley Beal, Zach LaVine, Kawhi Leonard, Keegan Murray, RJ Barrett, DeMar DeRozan, Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, okay. Wait, what? No, I skipped over the section. Oh, sorry. I switched up. So it's just Kawhi Leonard, Zach LaVine, Bradley Beal, and Tyler Hero. So do you want to cook here? Because I know what you're going to say.
Insane. Tyler Hero is one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Like, it's very funny that the stats, they have no percentage stats except for 3-point percentage. And that's the only way you can make this case for Tyler Hero, is using like just his raw 3-point percentage. Like, he's not a good player. He broke his hand and they almost won the finals.
Did you hear?
They won the East.
What? Like, it was Kevin Pelton on Zach Lowe was like, or maybe was it Kevin Pelton on Zach Lowe? I think it was. Or it was Zach that was like, well, what if he didn't break his hand and they made the finals? Wouldn't he have a lot of trade value? And it's like, well, you could also argue part of the reason they made the finals.
I would argue that.
Yeah,
I would argue that they were bad.
Yeah,
he also got hurt last year, and they were better. Like I don't know. Absurd. On its face, absurd. Like, Brad Beal obviously had no trade value because of the no trade clause. That's actually probably a pretty good place for Brad Beal. Yeah, maybe even a little lower. Like,
but they even talked about it on the podcast. Like, I think that we were surprised how little Brad Beal got back in a trade, because we forgot that he can just say no to a trade, which honestly probably just takes him off the list, which is like the fact that they got as much as they did, which seems insane to say, because they got mostly, half-washed Chris Paul and one swap and a bunch of seconds, even that is like kind of surprising considering he could veto any trade because of the no trade clause thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I just think this is like, House had the Kawhi slander on like full blast, which like, I get, like, you know, like if you're a boomer, like the absolute worst thing humans can do, it's a sex crime, murdering someone, and not playing basketball games. That's like the very top. So, you know, he's committed the cardinal sin of not playing basketball games
due to his degenerative knee issue that he has.
Yeah,
like it's not his. Do you know Kawhi? It's not his fault. He tore his ACL. He doesn't have functioning knees, dude.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
How many games did Kawhi Leonard play this past year? Without Googling it.
I'm going to guess he played 57.
Played 52, which is more than I expected. Yeah. Honestly, I the way that people talk about him, you would think he plays as many games as Zion.
Yes, exactly. And
which also is not really fully Zion.
How many games did Jimmy Butler play last year?
Around the same. Yeah, it was.
And Jimmy is the theater kid. The theater kid of.
He played 64. Kids. He only played 57 the year before.
He is such. He has like mastered the media.
It's amazing.
Every media person, like the amount of shit like Kevin Durant gets for the amount of games that he plays, and Kawhi Leonard gets for the amount of games they play.
Joel Embiid,
Jimmy,
Joel Embiid gets shit for it still, and Joel Embiid.
We're going to talk about Joel later in this.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
but Joel has played 68 games and 66 games the past 2 seasons. Jimmy Butler has played 64 and 57, and you never hear that because he saved himself for the playoffs, which is smart, by the way.
Yes.
People don't care about the regular season, and if you ball out in the playoffs, you'll get cover for everything. But the guys who have real injuries don't get the benefit of the doubt.
I'm sorry, it's ethical to treat the regular season like the hog fest it is. Like you should have contempt for anyone who places any value in the regular season. Oh no, I bought my son tickets to the game. Whose fault is that? Moron, buy a playoff ticket. What are you doing? Idiot. Like that's your fault. That is your fault at that point. I'm sorry. Like welcome to capitalism, bitch. Like this is what oh, you didn't get what you paid for? Sorry. That just happens every fucking day of your life. Go get it. Go get anything done at a hospital and see if you walk out of there with the bill you asked for. I didn't get to see Steph Curry in Charlotte. Oh no. Tough shit. Like grow up. Anyway, Zach LaVine, also very offensive to Zach LaVine. I gotta say.
The one thing with Zach is that you can say he makes a ton of money. In a few years, he's going to make $46 million, but like, I would certainly rather pay Zach LaVine $46 million in 2 years than Tyler Hero $31 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, he makes $13 million more than Tyler Hero like every year. So would you rather have Tyler Hero and Lou Dort or Zach LaVine?
Yeah, not even close. But from a trade value perspective, Zach is going to have more trade value. But I think whenever he does eventually get traded, we're going to be surprised how little the return is compared to because of the contract.
Well, for sure. I mean, like I think Bradley Beal is appropriately rated here. I think Zach has been sandbagged a little bit.
Sure.
I think Kawhi has. If the Heat traded Kawhi, like Tyler Hero and a first round pick for Kawhi Leonard, I would leap out of my window. I would like on purpose try to get as much of the pressure to just absolutely collapse my spine and kill me instantly. Like I cannot live in the world where the Heat's adrenochrome get a hold of Kawhi Leonard.
So, okay. Totally agree.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a new theory that I don't think Sixers fans are going to like.
Okay.
But my new theory is that Morey is not trading Harden right now. It's similar to the Ben Simmons situation where he's just waiting for something in the league to change. But I'm wondering if the thing that he's banking on changing this time is one of Kawhi Leonard or Paul George asking for a trade when the Clippers say we're not giving you extensions. Because did you see how much they're eligible for extensions?
No, man.
It's $220 million for Kawhi Leonard or Paul George over the next 4 years. and they're going to ask for those extensions in a few. And if we don't get them by the regular season, do you think they're going to be happy? I think that that's really what Morey's waiting for. Like, he might end up making a trade between now and then because he feels like he has to because of Joel and can't do the same thing again with the Ben Simmons thing. But I think that that might be the thing that he's banking on, that one of those two guys says, wait, you're not extending me? Trade me then.
No.
And we'll see. I'm just throwing that out there. But before we continue, this is the end of the free portion. If you would like to listen to us talk about the rest of the list, and also you would like us to hear us talk about some reactions to old trades that have happened over the past few years, trades and signings, and some very funny and insane overreactions. We're going to do that in the second half of the podcast.
We love reactions. We're very reactionary as a podcast. Take that clip out of context.
Yes. The most reactionary podcast.
Most reactionary podcast.
That covers the NBA.
Yes.
Not about sports, but,
Yeah.
So, link is in the description. Sign up for the Ball Patreon.
Yeah.
Check it out today.